All right. Set.
Okay, so everyone's here.
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Education and Training session of the GPS for Success Virtual Career Fair. This event was made possible through the hard work, dedication, and collaboration of WPBS, Jefferson Lewis, and St. Lawrence Lewis BOCES, the Workplace, the Watertown Chamber of Commerce, Jefferson County Economic Development, and through the support of the Northern New York Community Foundation and Agritech, makers of AminoMax. A very special thanks to Jefferson Lewis BOCES for making this virtual career fair a reality. We're so happy that you could join us today. My name is Christina Peterson, and I'm a school counselor at Jefferson Lewis BOCES Bowen Technical Center. I'll be your moderator for this session. I'm here to make sure that everything runs as smoothly as possible. Your panelists for today are Kirsty Bigwarf, admission counselor from Clarkson University, Rachel Thomas, the 4-H after school program manager at Cornell Cooperative Extension, and Marcy Petzvold, a kindergarten teacher at Lowville Academy. So here's how the session will work. Each panelist will present for a few minutes, sharing different career options and possibilities within the career cluster of education and training, and some interesting facts about their industry and things that they think that you should know. Once the panelist has finished, we'll have a brief Q&A session before moving on to the next panelist. So you can ask questions by typing them in the Q&A panel on the right. You can do this during the presentation, and then the questions will be shared with the panelists after they're finished presenting. You can also raise your hand during the presentation if you feel like the question would be better to ask verbally. To raise your hand, you can look at the bottom of your screen and click the button with the 3 little dots. You'll see an option to raise your hand. If you do have a question that you'd like to ask verbally, please remember to be respectful, and I will unmute you so you can ask the question. After you've met all our panelists and the session ends, make sure to check out mygpsforsuccess.com to learn more about each of the different career clusters. We're going to get started with Kirsty Bigwarf from Clarkson.
Sure, you guys see me anymore. For some reason, my computer screen's going a little blank, but is it correct you guys can also hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, awesome. So I'm not sure if you guys can see me, but I'll go ahead with the audio. So my name's Kirsty Bigwarf. I'm the North Country representative, admissions counselor for Clarkson University. And I'm specifically an admissions counselor. So if you guys are ever thinking about college options or going to college too, maybe a transfer route, or if you guys are still in high school, I just wanted to talk about Clarkson University and the major options that we do have for you guys to think about careers in the future. So Clarkson as a university, we're nationally recognized as a technology university, but we also do have a variety of different majors too. That's known again for engineering, business, secondary, science, health field majors, and then education and liberal arts to follow too. So working through that in the future, we do have a 97% placement rate outside of school, 80% being employed, 13% going further education, and then 13 to 4%, 3 and 4% alternative military routes too. So a lot of great options after school. So a 97% placement rate. And then moving forward to the opportunities, which we do like to touch on at Clarkson, is we're very hands-on. So we like to have a lot of exploration through doing. So a lot of problem solving through working in groups, and being collaborative with one another too. Some ways that students can do that too, we have great opportunities through cooperative experiences, so co-ops. So while you're a student, you can go and actually work for a company for a semester, which is really great. Go in there, get some real world life experience too. Know that you don't like that job, do like that job, but then also we kind of joke that you don't have to quit that job because it is a placement too. So just kind of something to test it out. We also have students who do internships at Clarkson. Another option for our professional experience is research. And then our fourth is also study abroad. So one of those 4 categories we do have students complete. Some are major specific, others are just based on interest, and is a little more flexibility with your major. But a lot of really great options to kind of explore major choices too while you're in school. Something just to think about, and it's true for universities out there too, is you don't have to pick your major choice or maybe what your potential career could be from your major. We don't have you pick your major choice until sophomore year with us. So don't think that you're tied down by any means. And even, I would say that a lot of us post-grad too, or, just in real world, we do change our minds what we want to do all the time. So it's a great time, and career fairs like this really just give you the time to kind of explore different options too. So we're at undergraduate universities locally in Potsdam, 3,400, so a small school. We're very excited to talk with you guys today. So any questions you guys have about majors or different career options, just let me know. Again, my computer screen's not really working, so I'm not sure if you guys can see me, but I'm more than happy to answer any questions through the phone.
Kirsty, I did have a quick question for you. This is Celeste. Can you tell us about what you yourself do, what it is to be an admissions counselor?
Yeah, so I actually went to a liberal arts school. So with that too, I majored in psychology, and then after school, I knew that I wanted to be in the education industry. So I tried out higher ed. So here I am, working as a admissions counselor in my first year. With my job, I have the North Country territory, but as an admissions counselor, you can have all different regions. So there's people in my office that have New England, Massachusetts specifically, Pennsylvania, Virginia is a category. So everyone kind of split up by region, and then you actually travel. So it's a really fun job because you're on the road constantly. In the fall time specifically, people are gone for months or weeks at a time. So it's definitely a lot of fun experiences, and you get to go explore the world, and you get to go meet students at different high schools. It's a lot of coordinating and working with guidance counselors too, so you get to speak with them and work with students, talk and go through those conversations too. And then also at Clarkson, unique to us too, we're cross-trained in financial aid. So I actually do the financial aid side, which is not so typical of an admissions counselor. But it's really just working with students, looking at major choices like I kind of just broke down. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I like the traveling portion a lot, and I like meeting and going to different high schools that I never knew too.
Does anyone have any questions for Kirsty?
I do see one in there, Christina, if you can see it.
Yep. Let me just make it a little bigger. It's cut off for me. So the question is, I want to work in child psychology and I want to work with students. So what would be the best step to get to that goal?
Yeah, for me too, personally, I went back and forth between obtaining a master's degree. So I think it's definitely post-grad, that step of, what career you're looking to do, and then seeing what master's programs best match that too. I know that I was thinking about doing a program at St. Lawrence University, but then that got canceled. So that's kind of what led me to my career here. So I think it's just finding if it's master's plan, or if there's some type of job that you get into that would match those needs too. But yeah, master's degrees in teaching or in student psychology, or to be a guidance counselor, those would be really great steps, I would say.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Kirsty, are you finished? Is it okay if we move to Rachel?
Yeah, no, that's it. You guys can't see me anymore on the camera, can you?
No.
Okay, just checking. All right, thank you guys so much. I virtually waved goodbye, but I will stay on and listen. So thank you.
Thank you. Our next presenter is Rachel Thomas. She's the 4-H After School Program Manager at Cornell Cooperative Extension. Welcome, Rachel.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Perfect. All right. So my name is Rachel Thomas. Like they said, I work for Cornell Cooperative Extension of Jefferson County. I'm our 4-H after school program manager. I'm also a site coordinator for the Indian River School District. So really quick background on us. Cornell Cooperative Extension has many different programs within the extension, including parenting and nutrition and ag. But a large part of our office is also youth and family services. So in youth and family services, we have our 4-H department that deals with educating the public and the community in Jefferson County. But we also have our after school programs. In our after school programs, we are in 6 different districts. We are in Belleville, Henderson, Beaver River, Copenhagen, Indian River, Watertown, and Lafargeville. I think I got all 6 of them. And we have 12 different school buildings that we're actually in within those. So our after school programs are grant funded, and our general purpose in these after school programs is to provide education academically for the students, academic support when they come in after school for us, and to also give them hands-on life skill learning. So we do everything from STEM, robotics, coding, 3D printing, to sewing and cooking and healthy eating and stuff like that. My job specifically, I'm the 4-H program manager, so I help our director oversee all of the programs, specifically CACFP, which is our food program for all of our programs, and also doing our licensing and stuff like that, because all of our programs are licensed in New York State. So there's a lot of regulations that we have to follow. So I help everybody, all of the programs, make sure that we're doing what New York State is asking us to do. And then as a coordinator, I oversee 3 programs. So I oversee programs in a K-3 building, in a 4-5 building, and in the high school, which is 9 through 12. And I help the educators provide lessons and curriculum for those students in those after school programs. I think that's really all I have. I see a couple of questions, so I'll go ahead and answer those. How to get into Cornell University? So we are an extension off of Cornell University. So although we are Cornell Cooperative Extension, that's a hard question for me to answer because we are a separate entity from the university. However, if you work really hard, get good grades, and get a good resume, anything is possible. So definitely try. It's a great university, and Ithaca is absolutely gorgeous to be in. The other question, I saw another question. Do you need college? So multiple levels here that we can do. My position that I am in, you do need college for. So I have a bachelor's in education. My degree is in birth through 6th grade. Anything higher than me, I would need to get a master's degree for. However, to be an educator, we ask for 2 years of college, but you can also have experience working with students. So if you want to work as an educator in our after school programs, you don't necessarily need college, but it is preferred.
Are there any other questions for Rachel? I have a question. How did you decide to look at this job? How did you decide to get into after school 4-H?
Absolutely. That's a good question. So, like I said, I went to college. I went to SUNY Potsdam for education, and I graduated with my bachelor's. When I came home, I got a job right away as a daycare director. And then I chose from there to go back into the schools because that's really where my passion is. So I started substituting because it's a great first way to get into the schools for education. And obviously subbing is only during the school year. So I looked for a summer job, and 3 years ago I got the position as a general 4-H summer educator, and it was just a summer position. So it was ending after the summer, but I absolutely fell in love with Cornell Cooperative Extension and just everybody that works there and the job. So when this position opened up, that fall, I was like, let's go for it. It's really, really fun for me because it gives me the chance to do some administrative stuff in the office, but I also get to go out and be with all of my students during the afternoon. So it's a fun, happy medium for me. I see another question. What is the best after school program? I'm not really sure exactly how to answer that. I'm not sure what you're asking. All of our after school programs are incredible. Each one of them are set up in very different ways, depending on the district, depending on the age group. But for the majority of the programs, how it's run is the kids come in and they have a snack, and then they get to do about an hour, depending on the time of the program, maybe a little bit less of academic time. So we help them one-on-one with homework. And if they don't have homework, then we give them academic projects that they're able to do. So they're able to go on the computer and do math websites or ELA websites that the teachers have them doing in the classrooms, or we give them centers that they're able to work towards. So that we're helping boost what they're doing during the school day and just building that up a little bit. And then we have them do their life skills programming, which across the board is just, there's just so much that we do in all of our programs. So what's my favorite to work for? I coordinate the Indian River School District. So I'm a little biased there because I love the Indian River School District. However, they're all amazing to work for. All of the coordinators, we all work together often. We have weekly meetings. We're constantly brainstorming and putting our heads together and trying to figure out the best way to build our programs up. So overall, in general, they're all great in different ways.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, so let's go to Marcy Petzold from Lowville Academy.
Hello, can you hear me all right? Oh, we have one more question that just popped up.
Rachel, have you ever worked in Alex Bay?
I have never worked in Alex Bay. We currently do not have an after-school program in Alex Bay. However, we might have something in the works soon.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Marcy.
Sure. Yeah, so hello, I'm Marcy Petzold. I'm a kindergarten teacher at Lowville Academy. So I'll give you a little bit of my background and then I'll just talk a little bit about education, although we know that in the wake of everything we're experiencing right now, what I might tell you about a typical day in a school is looking completely different, and that's probably going to remain different moving forward. So my background, I have my master's degree. So to be a certified teacher in New York State, you need a master's degree. Eventually, you can enter the profession with a bachelor's degree. So I have my bachelor's from SUNY Cortland in early childhood and childhood education. Then I was able to get a job right away. So I've taught for 13 years, and my first couple years of teaching, then I had my master's degree from Potsdam as a reading specialist. And I am actually currently in the middle of attempting to finish my administrative degree through SUNY Oswego right now. So like I said, I've been teaching for 13 years and I've experienced a little bit of all of the steps that you go through as a teacher. So if there are questions about that, I might be able to answer some of those. So as I said, I teach kindergarten. So I feel that I'm probably speaking a bit more from the elementary perspective, not as much from a secondary perspective. My day might look a little bit different, but you know, across the board, a teacher's day, if you've been a student, as we all have been, you know what the typical school day looks like, although currently that's changing. So what that's required in the last few months has required educators to be very nimble, to be very open-minded, and to really adapt to being able to use technology. So if you were someone as an educator that wasn't incorporating a lot of technology prior to the pandemic, that is going to be something moving forward that I can see in education will be a non-negotiable. But you know, thinking about things that are traits and skill sets that you'd want to have as a teacher, I just think if you have a passion and an interest for children, that should probably be your main, your one of your main reasons. There might be many reasons you want to be a teacher. A lot of people say, well, you have a great schedule and you get your summers off, and a lot of parents like it. You have the same schedule as your kids, and all of those things are true, and all of those things are wonderful. There's many more dimensions to teaching than that, and I would just encourage you that you look at the many perspectives of it, to not just take it at its face value there. So definitely a passion for kids, because you're going to be spending a lot of time with kids one way or the other, whether you choose more of a primary, elementary, younger children. If you're elementary, you're going to probably be spending the whole day in one classroom, typically, with a class of students versus a secondary teacher. There's so many different possibilities out there, I guess would be another thing I would say. If you're thinking education and kids, there are endless avenues for what you can go into as an educator. Depending on your passions, your interests, between younger students and high school students, middle school, there are so many different paths you can take and all still be in education, and then even beyond, thinking into higher education as well. But speaking of the public school perspective, one thing I would say that I think is great is, as a teacher, like I said, I've taught for 13 years. I have taught at 2 different grade levels. I've enjoyed both. I've taught kindergarten and first grade, but the possibilities for me to change into other grade levels, if I wanted to, would be there. The more certification areas you can get, or I should say maybe the broader your certification can be, that would be excellent for you walking into an employment situation. So if you can go to college and earn a degree where you're going to get multiple certifications, I would encourage that. Again, you want it to be something that you're passionate about and something you're interested in. But one thing that helped me when I entered the workforce at the time that I was in college, early childhood and childhood education were 2 different degrees, and I pursued both. So I was able to teach kindergarten or first grade. At that time, if you didn't have an early childhood certification, you couldn't teach kindergarten. I don't believe it's that way anymore, but that was just an example. And other examples might be getting a special ed certification, or my master's degree is as a reading specialist, so I could also be a reading teacher. So there's just many options out there that would really broaden your horizons. If you're starting to look at education in colleges, look for those different paths that might offer you more than one certification area. That'll really, I think, help you as you start looking for a job. Yeah, if there's other specific questions, I think I'm seeing a couple pop up in the chat box.
We do have a few. How hard is it to work with kids?
Well, I think that would be answered differently by every teacher. So I'm a kindergarten teacher, and I often have people say, oh, I don't know how you do it. They're 5 years old, and how do you do that all day? But I probably wouldn't be as comfortable with older kids, or I wouldn't find that wouldn't be my niche as much. So I love working with kids. And I think another good thing to look for as you're looking at colleges, I know our prior speaker spoke about Clarkson being a very hands-on school. Look for colleges that will give you that experience. And even if you're in high school still looking, look to get into a classroom and shadow a teacher and get as much hands-on experience as you can. That's going to give you the feel for, yeah, I really like this age group or this subject area, or you know what, maybe this age isn't as much for me. Look for those places that will offer you the in-person hands-on opportunity, because it's better to know that beforehand than after you've spent some time on that degree to realize that it's not for you.
We have an early childhood education program at BOCES, so if it's something that you're interested in, that's a great opportunity for you to get some experience and see if that's really what you like and if that's what you want to spend your time in college on. Another question is, do you need certain classes on childcare to become a kindergarten teacher? You might have kind of hit on that a little bit.
Yeah, so I would have to be honest. I would want to double check this, but I don't believe at this point it's all to answer that question, it's not really a college-specific question. It's more of a New York State certification question. You would need a bachelor's degree, and I believe at this point, the way the state has it split up is that anything K through 6th grade is probably one teacher certification. Like I said, it was different when I started, but I believe those are together now. I would want to double check on that though, because I'm not, you know, like I said, I'm not super current on that, but I believe if you have your teacher certification, if you are in elementary, it would typically be K through 6. Like I said, you need to start with a bachelor's degree, and then you usually have around 3 to 5 years. The state changes the time frame quite frequently. So I'm not sure what it is right now. You'd have a few years then to get your master's degree that would be required.
Thank you. The next question, what is the best age group to work with?
Well, I think I spoke to that a little bit. That I think every teacher would answer that differently, and they'd probably all say the one that I work with. You know, a high school physics teacher is probably a different person than me, a kindergarten teacher. And we all have our preferences. And like I said, I think as a person, you need to explore that a little bit more individually. And getting into classrooms and getting any hands-on experience you can get would be the way to do that.
So being a teacher's aide would be a good way to do that.
Yes, that would be, I was just reading through the comments. Yeah, with children, is it okay to be a teacher's aide? Absolutely. You know, I think there's quite a few people who may start in a school district. You know, we have a lot of people who come in either fresh out of college and just wanting to get in as a substitute. That's a great way. I know someone else mentioned that, to get in, get your face, you know, visible, get your foot in the door, that kind of thing. Being a substitute, there's other people who come in and work as teacher's assistants or teacher aides. Some people choose that as the career and love it. Again, I think that's totally a personal preference. And, you know, it's, our aides and assistants are some of the most amazing people to work with, very talented people who are wonderful with children. Some of them then, once they're into the position, realize how much they love it. And, you know, some will then continue to pursue their education. That might be a great way to start if you're unsure of what you want to do. And then they pursue, you know, getting their teaching degree because they realize they really want to do this long term and want to be able to move into their own classroom. So that, yeah, that would be a great way to start.
Could you include things like teacher's aide or shadowing a teacher on a resume?
That's a great question. I think that could be included. I think the biggest thing there is you'd want to be sure to check with the individual teacher that you shadow. So if you had been in a classroom, you just want to check in with them and say, hey, I'm wanting to include you on my resume. Would that be all right to include my experience in your classroom? Or would it be okay to leave your name? That would probably be the biggest thing. But yeah, that would absolutely be experience as you get started. That, you know, when you're first getting going, you need any experiences you can document. Am I seeing another one? What district do you work in? In Lowell Academy right now, Lowell, New York.
Is it a good idea to volunteer in children's homes?
I guess I would want to know a bit more about what you're looking for in that question. I'm not sure if you're thinking tutoring. You know, there are some people who do private tutoring for children outside of school. That's a possibility. There are teachers who do that. It's not very common. I'm not sure if you're looking for something else as far as volunteering. If you're wondering about gaining experience, I think any way that you can get experience is a great thing. And, you know, speaking to these after school programs that we just learned a little bit more about, that's a great way to get experience with kids before you are in the workforce and you're looking for that full-time teaching position and that kind of thing. So if there's something different they're looking for with that question, just let me know.
Thank you. Let's see. maybe one more. So the question is, at my school, you need volunteer hours.
Okay.
And the student wants to get more experience working with kids, so she wondered about working in homes.
Gotcha. Okay. Now I see what you're thinking. Sure. Like I said, I think any way that you can get more time and experience is great. One way, I don't know if your school would have an after-school program. I'm not sure if that's something that the student could look into as far as volunteering. Volunteering at home is a good way to spend time with kids, and that might get you your time. I'm not sure what your school requirements would be. I would definitely want to look a little bit more into that. The other thing I would say, and that's really been highlighted in this pandemic, is that the home setting is just different than the school setting. So you will learn many things about kids at home that are great, but the other thing I would tell you is that there's just so many things in a school setting that cannot be carried over at home. And I think that's a lot of what we're experiencing and finding out with people being, quarantined and not being able to do school while in school. So I would encourage as much, if you're thinking education and thinking public school, I would encourage those school experiences as much as possible. If you know teachers who would be willing to open up classrooms or allow you to spend some time in their room, even if it's just informally, that could be a bit of your volunteer experience. Obviously this school year, that's not going to be happening. But any classroom experience you can get with a great experienced teacher is going to be priceless, because there's just things that you can observe in them and you can pick up from them that you just gain with experience. So if you can get in-class experience, I think that would probably be most beneficial.
I'm just going to hop in real quick to say that if you do have an after-school program through Cornell Cooperative Extension in your school, we do allow high school volunteers. You can actually work for us until you're 18 years of age. However, if you are a high schooler, we do allow volunteers to come in the after-school programs and help out. So it is a great way to get in and get some experience with that. Yeah, definitely great resume builder.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions from any of the students that are on the webinar? Lots of good information from our school. Now we have Kirsty on video. Hope you can all see her face now.
So Christina, I'm going to hop on as a surprise panelist because I'm in education too. So I thought I might talk a little bit about what I do. So surprise everybody, here I am. So my name is Celeste and I am the Education and Lifelong Partnerships and Services Manager at WPBS, which basically means all I do, I say all I do, but it's a lot. I handle all the educational outreach for everybody from babies to 99. So any type of education that comes out of WPBS goes through me and through our initiatives. So what that means is I handle the PBS Kids events that you might see for some of your brothers, sisters, cousins. That includes getting characters, going to the events. I travel quite a lot when we are able to travel. So I've been to Canada quite a few times for events, and we can have some massive events, sometimes 750 to 1,000 people, sometimes 1,500 people. So if you really like interacting with people and those really fun types of events, my job is really great for that. We also get to do, I make activities for kids at these events, so you can have crafts for them. We get a lot of cool PBS Kids swag, so I get to make a lot of goodie bags for kids. And also I get to partner with a lot of amazing organizations, and I get to actually, with all these people, a lot of these people are our partners, and I work with them quite often. So I work with Cornell Cooperative Extension a lot. I work with North Country Library System a lot of the time. The school districts, I work with a lot of school districts. So we do push into the classroom at some points, and we do give presentations, especially for GPS for Success, which is it's targeted for grade 8 and onward, but it's for career exploration, which is why we're doing this today. So a lot of my job includes little bits and pieces of a lot of what you see for all age levels. And I love that I get to work with all age levels. I love working with little itty bitties and kindergarten kids, and I love working with my young adults and college kids, and I love working with all of you middle school and high school students to help you find out what you want to do with your life. So funny enough, me and Rachel have a lot in common. I was a student of SUNY Potsdam. I actually started at Paul Smith College way in the middle of nowhere in the Adirondacks. And I started in wildlife biology and wildlife and fisheries and wildlife science. I moved over to education at SUNY Potsdam, and I got my degree in childhood and early childhood education. Went through all those steps. I got my master's degree in curriculum instruction and outdoor education. SUNY Potsdam is great if you want to try to make your own master's degree, because I wanted to do something with outdoor education. So I decided that I wanted to do curriculum and instruction because I was able to make my own program, I suppose. I was the only one in the program. So I got to do a lot of what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it. So I did a lot of volunteer coordination of volunteers for trail work. We worked on a rock wall to make that better. I did projects on children and moving and how movement is so good for kids and for learning. So it was really neat. And I actually worked at the St. Lawrence Cornell Cooperative Extension for their summer day camp, farm day camp program. So I was the assistant director for that. Spent a short time in a school. So I realized maybe that's not quite for me. I love community education. So then I got this job at WPBS. Really, it's been a great experience for me, and you get to work with a lot of amazing people. And I'm not a real big fan of this, but I do get to go on TV every once in a while. I'm not a huge fan, but if that's something you're into, yes, you can go on TV if you're part of the WPBS station. I hope none of you has seen my face or heard my voice on TV, because I don't like looking at it and I don't like hearing it, but hopefully this is the first time you've ever seen me. So there's a lot of different things you can do for education, and I kind of wanted to hop on because we've heard from a lot of people, and a lot of people, when they hear education, they think teacher. But there's so much more you can do with that. We have amazing teachers around here. We have phenomenal teachers, school teachers around here. We have phenomenal school administration, and we have some of the best community educators in this area. So I think it's really important that we get a more well-rounded view of education. But I don't think anybody has any questions for me, but I just wanted to throw that out there and make sure that everybody knows, if you're thinking of doing this and maybe you're thinking, I don't know if I want to be a school teacher, or I don't know if I want to be in a school, or maybe you're just not sure yet. Education is a really good way to go if you're not sure what you want to do. And I figured that out, because if you have a degree in education, that can take you anywhere you want to go. Honestly, truly, it can take you anywhere you might want to be. So just consider that when you're thinking about education. It's not locked into just being a teacher. And I say just being a teacher, and I don't mean just being a teacher, because teachers are amazing. They're wonderful. They're awesome. I love them. They are the lifeblood of everything we do. But make sure that you think outside of the box. If you're not sure what you want to do, like I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, then please get a degree in education, because that can take you wherever you really want to go. And as you heard from Marcy, who's still getting degrees, which is amazing, you can get whatever you want. You can keep going with your education. It doesn't stop there. But that's what I wanted to say. So if anybody has any questions, I'd love to take them. But other than that, I'll turn it back to Christina. She's doing an excellent job. So thank you for letting me hop on, Christina.
Thanks for jumping in there. So I also work in education, right? I'm a school counselor. So there are lots of different avenues you can go in education. There are lots of opportunities for working overseas, for doing virtual teaching and learning, right? And that's getting bigger right now, right? With everything we're going through. So yeah, if you're interested in working with kids, lots of opportunities available. We have any other questions from the participants? Kirsty, Rachel, or Marcy, do you have anything you want to add about education or the career cluster field?
Nope, I don't think so.
Well, thanks everyone. I'm glad you could make it today. We really enjoyed hearing from each of you, and thank you participants for your excellent questions. And
Thank you so much, everybody. Quick thank you from me. Thank you to all the panelists for taking time out of your day. I really appreciate it. I hope our attendees got something out of this and you're thinking more about what you might want to do and where you might want to go. But yeah, I think that's it for right now. I think this is the last session of the day. So please join us tomorrow when we start with government and public administration. And I hope to see you again tomorrow. Please take care.